Next, on the Boardroom, Rochelle and Chris Wetzel present Smiley Transportation for advice from the board.
First, I'd like to thank the Boardroom and all of its members for inviting us here today. We're very excited to share our business with you. My name is Rochelle Wetzel, by the way, and this is my husband, Chris Wetzel. We own Smiley Transportation. It's a door-to-door student transportation service in the Keller ISD and Northwest ISD area. I started this company in 2007 as a single mother of a special needs child, and just to earn some additional income. And I started it with a little Kia Rio and 3 students. And I just did that for a while. Met Chris in 2009. And whenever I met him, he was intrigued by the business and wanted to give it a try. So over the summer of 2009, we gave it a test run with summer activities in summer school. And the test run went really well. So the fall of 2009, we decided to go for it. So we decided on the name Smiley Transportation. We went and got our DBA. We formed a sole proprietorship, and we built the website. Actually, Chris built the website. And we secured commercial insurance for our vehicles. We started that year, the 2009 school year, with 2 minivans and a Dodge Nitro. And we were servicing Keller ISD at that particular point. So for the 2009-2010 school year, we ended up with about 20 clients that first year, and we hired 1 independent contractor at that particular point. In 2010 and 11 school year, we doubled our clientele to about 40 students. We had 3 minivans at the beginning of that school year and 1 passenger van. And Chris and I have always run a route, so we were each running a route, and then we had 2 independent contractors at that time. In 2010, we formed an LLC, and we also started ACH. We had a lot of issues with cash and checks and children losing their parents' money and accepting credit cards, and the fees were outrageous. So we now do ACH, and that was one of the most positive choices that we made in our company, was doing ACH. It saves a lot of time and trouble for us and our clients. We also signed up with a fuel company, and we issued fuel cards to our drivers so that they could fuel up on the road. In January of 2011, that was when we had wonderful winter weather, and we had a rush of clients call us and to use our services. So we traded in a minivan for a passenger van. So we finished up that school year with 2 passenger vans and 2 minivans. In February of 2011, we wanted to look at additional revenue streams, during our downtime. So we purchased a limousine, and that was a lot of fun. The kids got a kick out of it. The parents did. We were able to do banquets and little parties here and there. So that was nice. During the summer of 2011, with all the budget cuts and for Keller ISD, I'm sure it was for all of the school districts in Texas, Keller, the board of Keller ISD was looking to eliminate busing. At that time, we had Durham Busing handled the busing for Keller ISD, and they did free busing for anyone who lived over 2 miles away from the schools, but they didn't offer any busing at all for anyone who lived under 2 miles. Well, because of budget cuts, Keller was going to vote to eliminate busing altogether, and at the last minute, right before school started, they worked out a deal with Durham to go pay for ride. And my understanding is Keller was the first school district in the state of Texas to go to pay for ride. Also, I forgot something. Also, in the spring of 2011, 2011, we had this idea to pre-register our students for the following school year. This allowed us to secure their prices, secure the customer, and have a really good idea of the upcoming school year where our vans would be needed, because sometimes that does fluctuate a little bit. So we pre-registered in the spring of 2011, we pre-registered 60 students for the upcoming school year. In 2011 and 2012, we started with 4 passenger vans, 2 minivans, and we moved all of our drivers to be employees, and then we also hired a backup driver. Northwest ISD went through something similar that Keller ISD did, and they had free busing no matter where you lived in the district, but for Northwest ISD, they bumped it out to the 2-mile radius, so nobody within 2 miles had busing. So we added, for last school year, we added Northwest ISD. And during this last school year, we bounced up to about 80 students, and then we went ahead and did the pre-registration thing again this last spring, and we've pre-registered for next school year. We've pre-registered over 80 students for next school year. So coming from 3 students in 2007 to pre-registering over 80 for next year. And our busy time is July and August, and that's when we get flooded with calls. And that's whenever we'll sign up approximately 25% more. We get calls all year long. We do have a rush usually in January, but July and August are busy. I mean, we cannot keep up with all the phone calls. But we turn away just about as much business as we sign up because we don't have enough vehicles, we don't have enough drivers, and that's hard for us to turn away so much business. The way that we advertise is Chris built our website. He works on it daily, and we deliver flyers. Us and our children, we have 3 in high school. We all deliver door-to-door flyers, and we put out signs, and then of course we also have our repeat business, and that's kind of where we stand now. So I'm going to turn it over to Chris to talk numbers.
And she's right. We've turned away about $80,000 in the last 5 months, being daycares, private schools have called us, asked us to be their private transportation. We just can't provide that. We're not capable because we don't have the vans. One school had 1,100 students that needed to be transported. She stated to us that we could provide a van that afternoon or a bus that afternoon. We would have the contract. We're at that point of growth where we need some advice. We need investors. We don't know exactly what we need to do. If you look at our numbers, our projected sales have always been lower than our reported sales. I'm projecting about $168,000 this year with adding 2 more vans to our fleet. I would like to add at least 2 more on top of that. We would be close to a little over $206,000. We have parents in school districts of very wealthy areas in North Fort Worth who are begging for us to come because they're having trouble with their buses. There's fights on the buses. Their children are getting harassed walking home. The stranger danger stuff is increasing in the school district areas, and they are begging us to come into those districts as well. So we're here to get advice. We're here to see if there's any way that, or from knowledge of y'all, how to talk to dealers, car dealers, how to maybe strike a deal with them, maybe even strike up a deal with a buyer to go to auctions to buy them at a cheaper price or a fleet price, and possibly even talk investors. Maybe we're open to anything. So, and again, we really like the opportunity to work with y'all, and we're looking forward to hearing your advice.
So ideally, you want $150,000.
100 to 150.
And what were the profits of the business last year?
The profits, our gross was 103. Our profits were a little over 30,000.
And did you pay yourselves any out of the business?
We take We take a draw. It's about 1,000 to 1,500. Just depends on the month.
Did you consider that an expense of the business when you're telling me the profit or not?
No.
Okay, so of the
So-
$30,000 profit,
We're looking.
you're
probably-
both working full-time?
I'm working full time at it. She actually is works for a online business company between the hours of driving around. So that's why the fluctuation. I try to help pay. We pull off to help pay for the personal side of our income.
And you said you're taking between 1,000 and 1,500 a week or a month or what?
A month.
Okay. And you're covering your personal expenses?
Yes.
How's your credit?
It's average, good.
Okay. Daryl, you want to start?
Do you have any competition? Is anybody else doing this?
We have some, we call them minivan moms, who have seen us, who own a van, who jump into the van and drive around, but it's not really any competition.
Okay, nobody on a global, nationwide.
There are other student shuttles in the United States, but I believe the closest one to us is actually in Frisco.
Okay.
And I honestly, I don't even think they're in business anymore.
Very good. Fuel, a big expense, I suppose.
Yes, last quarter was, yeah. Last year, when the prices were high, we were paying about $1,000 a week.
Perfect. I really don't have other questions other than I'd like to make a comment. I mean, I think your business model makes sense, not only for here, but I think it could be something nationwide if the margins are there. So,
Thank you.
Thank you.
How many drivers do you have?
We currently have 4. We are actually looking for the last month. We're looking for 3. We've had some interests, but with the unemployment and our requirements, we haven't been able to find those 2 other drivers as of yet. We have our job announcement's been on Channel 11, has been on, what other channel? Channel 4, Craigslist, and the local paper as well.
What kind of screening and or background checks do you do
We-
on the drivers, and what kind of insurance do you carry?
We run state, local, and federal background checks. Per our insurance, we run a 3-year driving record. Actually, the first time is 3 years, and then every year after that, they have to provide us a driving record. We carry $500,000 on liability, commercial insurance. They are covered under that umbrella. There's requirements. They have to be at least 26, and we just found out last week they can't be any older than 69, 70 years of age.
Last question on that topic. Do you have difficulty finding drivers?
We have a lot of applications. We are very picky and choosy because we want to make sure those children are safe. Most of the drivers that we have now are actually parents, stay-home moms, parents who like working 2 hours in the morning, 2 hours in the afternoon, and having the midday completely free to do whatever they wanted to do. I would say yes and no on your answer.
Done. What happens during the summer?
We do summer school. That runs usually the whole month of June. We also do field trips. We are actually in contract with several daycares in Keller and one in Fort Worth that we're doing daycare field trips for. And we actually just finished a teachers convention. We transported Thursday, Friday, and Saturday of last week teachers from Irving Convention Center to their downtown headquarters. We did that for the last 3 days as well.
So it's kind of an up and down, it's not a
Summer's kind of slow for us, yes.
And so does each van do one route per day?
Each van is made to do one route. Each route consists of 3 to 4 schools. The Bell schedule allows us to do multiple schools for that on that van. We can pick up, drop off, pick up at another school, drop off. We average about 25 to 30 students per van per day.
Per passenger van.
Per passenger van. Minivans we hold about 15 to 20.
So what's your cost per person? What do you charge per person?
The average is about $45 a week.
That's what you charge?
I'm sorry?
That's your cost or your charge?
That's my charge. That's our charge.
What does it cost you per person?
Each month for a commercial van with all the gas, drivers pay, it runs about $2,000 a van for a commercial van. About $1,700 for a minivan is our cost to operate a vehicle.
And how many people?
I would say between 25 and 30. Just depends on the route.
Okay. And you said $2,000 a month?
Yes.
Do you know what your price point is? Where they'd stop buying? Where they said it's too high a price?
We actually tried that last year. $55 is for round trip a week is pretty close to where they're going to stop.
Okay.
We found out that when we went into Northwest, they were a little spoiled with the buses coming door to door. They were kind of shocked that they were going to have to pay a weekly fee. So what we did was we actually took a hit on ourselves. We lowered it down to the $35 to $40 a week to get into the school, to get the customers into liking our service, and then hopefully they'll spread the word. And it actually worked. We actually gained more customers that way because we came in low and then built from there.
All right.
What do you do with the vehicles outside of the hours that they're working?
We are actually, if you look in the business plan, we are working on a few things. It's kind of confidential. I don't want to announce
Okay.
it there, but if y'all read those, that's what we are working on.
Have you maxed out your personal capacity to attend to the business at the moment?
What do you mean?
How many hours do you work a week?
Oh, I put about 12 hours a day in it. I get up at 5 o'clock every morning, and we live and breathe Smiley Transportation. I mean, we go
So
to
do
a
our
restaurant,
children.
we're talking Smiley Transportation.
So at the moment, at $30,000 profit, your opportunity cost is in the negative, is it not?
Well, we see that we want to invest the money back into the company. We want to do, it's going to sound cliche, but short-term sacrifice, long-term gain.
So at what point do you think you'll be reaching your break-even opportunity cost of your personal resources?
I honestly think if we can get the 4 vans, I believe within the next maybe year, maybe 2 years, I think we could actually see that. The biggest cost of our operation is fuel and the vans. That's the only cost, the drivers, the fuel, and the vans.
Well, I think you're offering a wonderful service and it's much needed.
Thank you.
What does a van cost? You answered the question that you have $2,000 of variable costs a month.
Yes.
So what does a van cost you when you buy it to put it out on the?
It ranges
put it
from
in?
$19,000 to I think the Most expensive one we've bought was $23,000.
Okay. And just to confirm, you said that you're generating $6,000 of revenue per van with $2,000 of costs per month. Is that correct?
It's about four. I
45.
want to say that between four, depending on the van, it's between 4 and 5,500.
Okay, and you have 6 vehicles out on the road?
6 vehicles.
2 being minivans.
2 being mini.
So that would say that you should be generating significant profit? Or what are you not telling us in terms of your expenses? Because I'm doing that math in my head and it doesn't work out to $12,000 for the year if you're taking $18,000 out. So where's the other money going?
We're just rolling it right back into the company. Everything we make, we roll right back into the company. We've been buying extra equipment. We're trying to buy security cameras for the vans. Actually, those are $300 a pop. So we're trying to roll stuff back into the company.
There's also the wear and tear and maintenance on the vehicles. Tires, alignment, tags, oil changes, cleaning, so yeah. There are
So your
additional
costs are
expenses.
really higher than $2,000 a month.
Right. The core costs, I guess.
Just the van alone, just to put it on the street, get it on, turn on the ignition and go, is about $2,000 a month.
What's your sweet spot for the age group that you service?
It goes
Is
from,
it elementary? Is it middle school? Is it high school?
believe it or not, it's from 4-year-olds all the way up to junior in high school. We actually had a senior ride with us last year, and she graduated this year. And it's a mixture of all. There's not one particular age group. There's parents out there that they don't like the bus, or they had issues with bullying on the bus, or they just don't want their child to walk home. So,
Can you tell me a little bit more about the contract that you said that you have? What's the length of the contract that you would normally go into, like with a daycare center, or even with an individual? Tell me a little bit about the contract.
I'll let you handle that.
You mean for the field trips?
No, do you have a contract that you enter with a parent
Oh, okay.
to transfer a child, or you said that you also are looking at doing daycare centers?
Yes. What we do for daycare centers is typically summertime field trip stuff. So that's a per summer, per
So
year thing.
Per occurrence?
Yeah.
Type
In the
thing?
summertime, we operate on a first come, first served basis, whether it's daycares or summer school, summer activities. You know, we took some kids to the TCU baseball camp. So
Okay.
we try to fit in everything that we possibly can. And as far as the parents, we do have a contract as far as rules and regulations, but we don't hold a parent to a whole year contract. We want them to be happy with our services, and we know that things come up. If for some reason, you know, they have to move or something, we do, in our contract, we do ask for a 2-week notice, and if not a 2-week notice, then there is a cancellation fee. We don't charge the customers for the weeks, the holiday weeks that they're off, so the week at Thanksgiving, the week at Christmas, and the week at spring break. So again, that's one of the other reasons we are looking at other revenue ideas for our downtime, whether it's during the day, summer, spring break, and stuff like that.
And how about extracurricular activities at school level with sports, as an example, with kids getting out later or having to be to school earlier?
That's one of our fortes. The door-to-door is great. You know, we don't just drop them off. We make sure they get in the door safely. We send a notification to their parents that they're home. We take care of sick child pickup. Since his background is paramedic, I send him out with the bags and let him take them home. But we also, one of our things, because the parents can't always be there, and it was really sad for me to hear a story of a guy a young man who wanted to be in band at our kids' high school, but the bus didn't deliver early or pick up late, so he couldn't be a member of the band. So what we do is we drop off kids early, and we do the best that we can. But sometimes we can't accommodate everyone at all times. But as long as we have advance notice, we try to drop off students early. We try to pick them up after, sports activities or events. So yeah, we take care of those also.
What's the perception of your service from the school standpoint? Do you have any interaction with the schools?
We have originally, I guess we got the feeling that we were kind of a thorn in their side. We've had some struggles with some schools, but now I think we work directly with the schools, and we follow their guidelines, we follow their rules, and we provide them with forms, with information. So I think now we're kind of a relief. We're getting those children picked up and off of their campus instead of them hanging around unsupervised. So for the most part, we have a very positive reception from the schools that we work with.
And if I can add, we actually transport for
that's true.
teachers and administration building personnel. We'll pick up at the school that their kids go to, and we'll actually take them to the school that they actually teach at, which is a big help for them because the bus won't do that.
Right.
We also will take them from their school and take them to their place of work, or like I said, the admin building of the school district. So
That's true.
they're I would say about 10% of our customers each year that's administration or teachers.
School staff.
Do you see this pay for ride concept growing
Yes.
from the school standpoint?
What happened?
And what do they charge versus your $45?
They're a lot cheaper. We'll answer that. They're a lot cheaper. I think they're $180, $186 a semester. However, the student has to walk to a bus stop, and they're not supervised. They get off the bus in the afternoon. It's their responsibility to get home. I've seen personally 5-year-olds walking down a very busy road because they just got off the bus. Parents don't like that. And they seek the door-to-door service. As for the pay for ride, what I've heard from the teachers convention, California has been a pay for ride system for many years. Florida is starting to do it. Texas legislation has actually said that it is not illegal for a school to either put the 2-mile radius out or to get rid of busing on so they won't be responsible for it, and turn it over to a third-party pay-for-ride system.
Last question. Is your service or expense considered to be anything like a child care credit for income tax purposes?
Now that is all depending on your CPA. Some CPAs say you can up to 12 or 13. Then there's some CPAs that says they're not giving child care, they are just transporting the children. How we combated that is at the end of the year, we provide a end of year statement of what they've paid, their total, and our tax ID number, federal tax ID number, and it's up to them. It's up to the parents' CPA. It's just that little gray area that we have not crossed yet.
Our CPA personally says that it's not tax deductible, but several clients, tax professionals, say that it is. So we provide the information, and that's between them and their tax professional.
Anyone from the IRS here?
Do you have to have a license by the state or by the city?
No, not for Keller or Roanoke, Hazlitt, or Trophy Club. No.
What creates the two biggest areas of frustration or problem for you?
The biggest frustration is turning down the parents or having to say we cannot service that area yet. That's my biggest. I don't know about her, but that's my biggest. Because we have had 5 children. 3 of them are in high school. We live right across the high school. They ride with us. I will not let them cross the street to go to that school. I might be overprotective, but I just.
Is your agreement with the school or with the parents of the children you
with the parent.
with the parents? Is it a signed contract?
It is. It's not a contract. We actually have. It's a form that actually the student and the parent signs. It actually just states that, you know, to put us on the a medical consent form for us to carry the emergency pickup list at the school, and our list of van rules that children understand and have to follow.
Any kind of a week-to-week thing?
No, most of the people who sign up are they stick with us for the whole year. We do have a drop-in rate and a drop-in type thing. We always leave one seat available on the van for that purpose, but they find that the drop-in rate is $16 to $20 a day, and they can do a whole week for less.
And how do they pay? They pay in advance each week, or?
Yes, they pay. We bill. They have to pay the Friday before transportation. 95% of our customers are auto draft, so we send them out an invoice.
So if they don't pay
receipt.
next week, they don't ride next week.
Correct.
Correct. We actually if they don't pay by Friday, we give them over the weekend, and then there's a late fee for the weekend, and they have to bring it to our office, and we have a secure box. They drop it in the drop box.
So I guess since you're already kind of at capacity with your vans, you don't do any advertising or promotion because you couldn't handle more business if you got it.
Oh no, we advertise.
We
want more
we
business.
still advertise. If you look at the numbers, a commercial van, we usually sit 10 per school. We can sit up to 10 per school, and if they do 4 schools, that's 40 students per van that we could fill. We typically stay between 20, like I said, between 20 and 30. Some vans have less than that. Like the minivans will have, like I said, 15 at 18. So there is room. We can add students if someone calls and says, "Hey, I'm desperately needing." So we're always, the website's always running. So
Have you considered outsourcing to a mini-mom or whoever that could take the business that you can't handle right now?
We considered that originally. The problem there is we can't insure their van on commercial insurance. So it has to be our vehicle, our driver, our fuel. It has
The liability
to be.
has to be your van for you to be covered?
Yes. Otherwise, it would have to be their company. Yes.
we are actually working with our business attorney. She's setting us up for consulting, licensing, and then trying to eventually possibly get into franchising. We've had, I'm just like you, I don't believe in franchising. I like licensing better. But we've had some interests from New York and New Hampshire as well, that they're interested. They've come to our website, they're seeing our information, and they're contacting us now.
And by the way, for the audience, they brought their van, so if you want to see what one looks like, it's out front. Just take a peek. It's pretty neat. That's all
And
the
to
questions
answer
I've
your
got.
other question, the people that we can't service are people who are at schools that we don't service, school districts, or they live, too far away for us to be able to fit them in our route and be efficient and be safe. So those are the kind of people that
Currently, do your drivers take the vans home at night to their home?
during the week they do,
Okay, yeah.
and then they bring them home. Then
The
they bring them
weekend.
home on the weekends,
I gotcha.
so that they can be serviced and cleaned.
One more question, please, Charles. Do you have any debt against the company now?
Debt?
As in
Yeah, our vehicles.
the
Yeah,
vehicle.
Well, how much is it?
about 120,000
How did you get that financed?
through different banks each time we bought one.
Most of them are through CarMax.
How do you do the software, the routing? Is there software to do the routing?
That would be me.
Go ahead.
I have set up a system in Excel, and I have different pages, and we have certain information on Dropbox. Our drivers have Dropbox, the medical consents, the early release, and stuff like that. I have a great idea for a software program that would take this and make it user-friendly that the drivers could use, but I don't know how to make software. But I keep track of it all in Excel.
Is there anything unique about your business that somebody else would have trouble replicating?
I'm not sure I understand the question.
What's the barrier of entry from somebody just seeing your van and saying, I want to start a company just like this, and they do it? Is there anything unique that you've created or in your business model that somebody else would have trouble coming up with and doing on their own?
I think I've seen a lot, and I've heard about a lot of people attempting it, and the people who've contacted us and wanted information, they've been involved with people who've started and stopped. They've started and stopped. We've started and grown and grown and grown. So we're definitely on the right track as far as what we're doing. I think what sets us apart is the extra bells and whistles, the luxuries that we add for the parents, the notification, the care, the safety. Also, our drivers, the background checks, making sure that they have clean driving records. There's a few, I wouldn't say anything enormously significant that sets us apart. I think all the little things put together definitely set us apart.
Board members, any other questions?
What is the compensation of your drivers? How do you pay these people?
They're hourly. We pay them weekly.
How much an hour?
It ranges between $9 to $10 an hour.
Okay.
Is there an expertise that you wish you had in your company to help you run the business, or you feel like between the two of you, you've got it all covered?
Well, software would be, developing a software program that would make it easier for everyone, for notifications, for information flowing back and forth between parents, students, and drivers. That would be great. I have a great idea. I just don't know how to develop it. So that would be nice.
Can I ask a question? I'm looking at this page on income and expense trend, and it looks like in June you have a disproportionate expense column.
Yes.
And also a disproportionately low income column
Yes.
compared to the rest. So is that a seasonal thing?
No, I actually knew you were going to ask that. I put in there today because that is the payroll.
Okay.
I wasn't putting payroll on QuickBooks. I was keeping it separate with Wells Fargo, and I wanted to show you the exact numbers of what our costs are for the last 6 months.
So
I
that
just
long
put it in.
column is payroll
Yes,
for the last 6
yes,
months?
I just put it in there because I just
Okay.
wanted to print this off.
I'm
and
just
get it
looking
done
at
for you.
trends. Okay.
I'm sorry. In fact, that was one of the questions they're gonna ask that question. I should spread it out over the.
Any other questions from the board? Okay, advice phase. Remember, no comments during the advice. Start again with you, Daryl.
I really like your business concept. I think it's got some merit if you can just get some legs. And my suggestion is if there's any possibility that you could work with some of the school systems or daycares and have full-time contracts with these people, just take care of their transport needs, that would dove into your financing. If you have a contract, you can take it to a bank and say, look, I need 8 vans. I have a contract to provide these services. So I think the financing for the vans is taken care of. But I think that if you can get volume, get some business going here where you can actually pay yourself a decent wage and have money left over, But I think it maybe starts with maybe trying, a lot of companies are outsourcing today, and I don't know why for transportation needs that your business wouldn't be a perfect fit, and I like your idea.
Thank you.
Parents in this room might not agree with me, but basically you've got a service very similar to UPS. You've got to pick up the delivery service. You can tell I'm not a born parent. But having said that, UPS has developed many years ago now a software system to protect the safety of their drivers, their physical safety of their drivers, primarily, and then secondarily, the safety of their packages, your students as an example. They've got a policy of basically no left turns. And there is software out there that I'm certain that you can buy, if not from UPS, but from someone that can give you the routing to get from the school to your door-to-door delivery service. And I suggest that you don't invent or reinvent the wheel, but check into the availability of some of that kind of software service. Okay? It's available out there somewhere at some price point, and there are people out there that can do it. You might seriously consider having a fuel surcharge into your agreements with your clients, with the parents, and set it at a point, not like UPS or FedEx do. They tell you afterwards what the fuel surcharge is. Tell them, hey, when it gets above $3.80 a gallon or $4 a gallon, it's an extra $1 a week or whatever it may be, but have that built in so the customer or the client doesn't have any ugly surprises. Another is I would strongly suggest that you do random drug and alcohol testing and periodic criminal background checks. Just because they're parents doesn't mean that they don't have drinking or drug problems or other kinds of situations. And because they met your criteria initially doesn't mean that they're going to meet it 2 weeks or 2 months later. And last but not least, get those cameras installed into those vans and have the feed going back to your offices or headquarters, and keep that stuff and make sure that you've got audio in there as well.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
Love the concept, hate the numbers. You've got $80,000 in vans and you're making $150,000. And just a couple things, I think. At least I know my wife, when I started a business, always said when I got too busy, she said, "You're not charging enough, charge more." So it sounds like you're busy, so, and what you're doing is worth it. So one thing I'd look at is really raising your price. But I'd look at how do I use the vans. You got assets that you're using only a couple hours a day. Is there a way I can use these things during the midday? Is there a way I can charge to take people to the store? Retirement homes taking people back and forth to the store. There's got to be other avenues where you can use this asset and make money. The core business is this, but there are people out there that I think that you can build on that income. And I think if you leave it where it is without finding other ways to utilize that asset, I mean, it just doesn't look like the numbers are ever going to get you where you need to be. Even no matter how many, buy 4 more vans, and the ratio is going to stay the same. So to me, you got to find a way to use the vans during the day. You got to find a way to use the vans during the summer. Let's see. And I don't know if there's a way to subsidize it by the school, going to school and making a deal with the school and saying I don't know. But I don't know if there's grants. Have you looked at any grants for small businesses?
I can't answer that.
I can't
Oh, yeah, you
answer
can.
that.
Well, you should look at grants. You should. And I think that's about it. I mean, I love the concept. I just think you got to find a way to get more money out of those vans.
Thank you.
So I too love the concept. I'm a guy who likes to make money in what I do, and I would want to see you, going off of what Tom said, I would want to see you model it up to make sure that it is going to be scalable and you're going to make money when you do it. If you've watched any of my videos, I'm definitely not a proponent of franchising, and I believe from I have franchised before, I believe from my experience that licensing is the exact same thing. And first of all, I don't believe you have anything unique that's going to really get you successful in franchising. If you had a unique piece of software that couldn't get out there, or you had some unique process or something that somebody couldn't easily replicate, you might have something finance or franchisable. The expenses in franchising are immense. You're looking at about 150 grand to do it right, and the liability is huge. I had a franchisee in California. Never franchise in California. If you're not going to follow my advice, just do not do it in California. I had a franchisee who paid me the initial fee, had a very successful business making money, sued me, and I had to give them $350,000. They never paid me a penny in royalties because I made one little mistake. And I said something that I shouldn't have said I invited them to a company meeting, and we talked about financials in that company meeting while they were there, and that is not allowed with franchising. So even though we had the proper UFOC that had the financials in there, because I said something about financials and I wasn't aware of it, I had my attorney in the room with me for the meeting. I wrote him a check for $350,000. I will never franchise again.
How do you feel about that?
Please don't franchise. And honestly, I just don't believe you have something unique enough to do it. I think the cost of entry for people is going to be too low, and you don't have anything that's going to get them there on your own. I think software is a big thing these days. One thing that popped in my head that I guess if I was a parent that I would think would be cool is where I could have a little app to find out where my child was in the whole process. So I know the advice was don't recreate the wheel about your the routing. I think as you grow, you're going to need some software that does the routing, and I agree that there probably is some that you could utilize, but it sure would be cool to have an app involved that would notify the parents if they want the notification when they arrive. The real thing that you're here and you're asking if this is a investable business. Businesses typically are valued at about roughly 2.5 times the previous year's profit. So having said that, I don't think you're going to come to a conclusion that the value of your business right now, which would be roughly, I guess, about $100,000 based on what you said, if your value is $100,000 and you're wanting to raise $100,000, that just means I'm writing you a check and I'm buying 100% of your business, and you're either an indentured servant or something. You said you were going to use the money for advertising, yet you told me that you turned away, I think it was $60,000 worth of business in the last 5 months. So it doesn't seem to me that the advertising is a good use of money. And I think equipment financing should be easy for you to come by. And on that note, if you are having difficulties with equipment financing, that's something that we probably could talk to you about. And maybe it would be better than CarMax. If you saw outside, I have a 15-passenger van. I don't know if we moved it or not, but we do corporate boot camps here, so I move my employees back and forth from a hotel here. By the way, finding companies to do that for me was so outrageously, ridiculously expensive that I just bought my own van, and based on the numbers you're talking about, I think you could. I don't know how you find them, but I think that could be a good opportunity for you. But where I was really going is I bought that van because I owned a buy here, pay here car lot. I bought that van, which was in great condition, for $9,995 out of auction. So if you don't mind the used van, I've never had any mechanical problems with it, but you can get them for far less than the $23,000 you're paying, which I think would save you a ton of money. Last thought I had was I'm big into creating businesses where the employees are motivated to sell for me. So it sounds to me like finding a mamapreneur that not only will make the hourly wage with you, but can also make money by going out and selling during their off time. They're out in their neighborhoods, they're out in their schools, they're in their school booster clubs or whatever. motivate them to get the clients and give them a piece of what they bring in as well. Let them, they're already involved with you, let them have a stake in filling your van and getting more customers into it. So that's what I had.
I think you're providing a wonderful service and much needed. I'm conservative, and I don't believe that you have maximized the use of your current resources. As I look at it, the van sitting idle more hours than they are working is a very expensive venture. So before I would go out and borrow more money, buy more equipment, and you're already maxing out in your personal time in your business, I would spend some of that time looking at how can I maximize the resources that I already have. Here are a couple thoughts I have. During the time when your vans are not transporting the school children, perhaps you can offer them to service airport transportation. We live near an airport. There's often private groups coming in that require transportation, and I'm sure you can charge more per passenger. I know I just came back from Las Vegas. It's very expensive to go around from one spot to the other. And sometimes it's almost impossible to walk down the strip with so many people. So airport transportation, private field trips. There's so many organizations, and such as these boot camp deals. And also, I've heard they use retirement homes. And how about hospitals? We're living in a hospital complex here. There are many individuals who go to outpatient care, cancer units, providing transportation during your off times. That might bring you more revenue, because in those situations, you can charge more per trip than you would charge the school children. So those are a couple thoughts. Let's see what else I have. And I really suggest to put more value in your personal time and to leverage that to make sure that if you're spending 10 hours a day working, you should at least make minimum wage. Thank you.
Well, I love
Thank
it
you.
when the board hits the same information points. It tells us that we're right on target. Revenue. You've got 24 hours in the day, you're working these things 4 days, or 4 hours, I'm sorry. You've got to figure out alternative revenue sources for these vehicles. If I work through your numbers right, and you said you have revenues of 103,000 and 30,000 of which 18,000 is yours. If you work that down to 6 vans, you got $17,000 of revenue against $2,000 of profit. You've got to generate more revenue. Charles touched on the point of cutting your capital costs in half. Look for a better deal. You can get that van debt free. Your company has too much debt. You've been in business for 5 years, and you still have the same amount of debt that it cost you to get the 6 vehicles. Some things, I don't understand that. So you should be moving towards a debt-free standpoint. Airport shuttle, I too wrote that down. You have to find alternative uses other than 4 hours a day. Contracts, Daryl mentioned it. Contracts equals dollars. You would need to move your company from a business model of week to week to school term. If you offer a discount to sign up for a school term, that contract then is a bankable asset that you can, so you don't have to turn down that $60,000. You can sign up for the school term in May, and we'll pick up your kid in September. You can take those contracts to the bank and get money. So very much that is a huge thing. Also on the contracts, I think you could address some liability issues that you might be exposing yourself to, where the parents can sign off on the liabilities that we all know could happen in many, many different ways. That might make your insurance company a lot happier. Okay, you might get better premium dollars. One of the other capitalizing on what Charles said on mom entrepreneurs, you're trying to do this whole company. I was aware of another business model in the check cashing business where a company was running 35 vans in the Dallas-Fort Worth area doing $300 million a year. Okay, what they did was provide in this situation the moms of the world the vehicle to make money. So, mom, we will give you a van. Okay, we will do all the insurance. We will make this a turnkey deal. Your job is to go find the business. Okay, you fill up the van, and we split it 60-40. That was the deal. And however, okay, you still have to pay me back for the van first. Okay, so you recoup your capital, and they pay out of the 60-40 split. Okay, and that way you can expand this process. You're not going to make it on 6 vans. You need salespeople out there. Moms know moms. Moms know kids. Okay, it should be. I would think this would be an easy thing for a mom to go grab 10 kids in the same school district. They all live in the same neighborhood. How hard is that to get them home? My other thought process, and I'm sure you've talked about as well, is with daycares. So, you know, there's a lot of moms specifically that end up working to pay for daycare. That's a really amazing thing, isn't it? So that younger child, when he starts 1st grade through 6th, as an example, the ability to allow the mother not to have to interrupt her working day at 3 o'clock in the afternoon specifically and drop them off back to daycare or to a protected environment, I would think would be a great selling tool. You may already be doing that. I don't know. But I really think that you could expand this with contracts. That becomes bankable. You need salespeople out there. Moms are going to be your best selling tool, and they can make money.
Thank you.
I really like the service as a grandparent and former parent, or, you know, what you do to take those children and safely escort them from home to school and make sure they get back. You can't put a price on that. I mean, that's and you both are very personable. Your sincerity is obvious. I think that to sit down in front of a potential parent customer be an easy sell. You know, I think that you could find a dealership. This is a good business to be in, a good support. A dealership could provide you with a used van 6 months at a time. The cost of them would be zip. And I think you could, I believe, in exchange for putting their name on your vans and giving them some exposure, I think that you could get the van for zip, for free. 23,000 is Hertz. Charles's 9,000 is much better. Free is even nicer. And you know, you got the weekend where if you try to rent a van on the weekend, you're going to pay $125 a day to $150, and yours are just sitting. You got a lot of potential on using your vans when they're not being used now, with assisted living, casinos, racetracks, like Quita says, airport runs, shopping. You got a lot of potential there. I'd go after a driver that they've got to have the credentials you want. They've got to check out, but get you an entrepreneurial driver and give them a commission to get you business. Instead of making $10 an hour, they might make $20 an hour, but they're going to make you money also. Make them responsible for keeping those vans busy. If they got a van, then they ought to be making money with it. I think you've got a tool and a system that very much would lend itself to licensing a territory. You can say, someone, I'm going to let you use my Smiley Transportation name. I'm going to give you the secret sauce to show you how to do this, to how to schedule. I'm going to show you how to get contracts. I'm going to show you how to service. You'll have me to draw on for support. And you take someone that's got a van or wants to invest in some vans and give them Capel or unlimited number of territories. I think you've got a very, very sellable system to do that. I think you need to get with a numbers guy that can specifically define what the variable costs really are, what the fixed costs really are, and put together a formula that says if I put in this, I get this out. Right now it's a little, the picture's not as pretty as it could be. And I think that you could use some help with a financial person to help put together a program that would let you do that. I think it's very admirable that what y'all have done by putting in long hours and hard work and growing it. I like the progress from 20 to 40 to 80. I mean, that's good. I think now let's focus on how to start making cash, because when you generate cash, that's more money for you, and that's all of a sudden you're talking a language that investors like, and then you can start getting some attention.
Thank you. Just thought about something as I was listening to the rest of the members. I do believe you have a unique selling proposition there. Ordinary transportation companies, as you've mentioned, school buses, they drop the kids at a particular point. But your unique selling proposition is providing safety, enabling the child to leave your vehicle and you wait till the child gets in the door. That has got to add special value to your service. For that, I think parents will be willing to pay a little bit more. And that you have greater demand than supply, again points to the fact that it is an opportunity to add to your fee a little bit. And the third idea I had while I was sitting here is that you have van and you have what you call that wall space on your van. Use that to generate revenue. Now be careful, however, be selective about what kind of sponsors you're going to put on your van. So you go and you solicit sponsors, and nowadays it's so easy to sell that wall space in terms of a magnet. So it is movable and it's very inexpensive to do, but you can rent a 6 by 6 inch space with a logo of a child or education or healthcare related specific type of sponsors. And so now your van can be sitting around, if it were sitting around, and it's actually generating money because the wall space is selling time for you.
And I tell you, I think the seniors will be a whole new market for you, and churches, and those are
right here that'll take
shopping in churches on the weekend. You know, that's true.
Any other advice from the board? So, Kuitai, were you not thinking Tito Vodka would be a good marketing partner on the vans?
No, don't think so. No casinos, no booze, no cigarettes.
Your response to the panel's advice?
We are, if you look in our business plan, we are looking at generating on the downtime. We are looking at, I'll just go ahead and say it, we are looking at the senior centers. We are looking at the daycares. As for cameras, the cameras we install they're more than just a camera. They do 180 degrees outside from mirror to mirror, 180 degrees on the inside. They are actually infrared, so they will record at night or early morning, so you can see everything. It's audio. It actually has a GPS mapping. It all records it. I just pulled the little SD card. I can see where they've went, how fast they've gone. It actually has a tattletale system. It's a tells you the G-force, so if the van turns too hard, it'll tick. That's, you know, the $300 a piece, so we're slowly getting them all into the vans. Let's see, there were some other points. The van advertising, we are actually doing that. We actually have we just started that. We actually noticed that our vans are rolling billboards. If you know, most of the people will say, "Oh yeah, we saw your van driving down 377." Well, so we started putting that in. We have our insurance company has actually signed a contract with us. They're going to do month to month starting in August. We've already got the, instead of a magnet, we're actually going to do the
Final.
Signorama. They're on 377. Actually, we'll print up vinyl graphics or artwork of that business, and we'll put it on there. He says that's easier since we're washing them and going through car washes. That will be more doable than a magnet because it'll come off. Let's see, what else was on there? The contract, the yearly, we actually do offer a 5% discount on semesters, 10% on full year. We've actually had one customer do that for 2 years. This year, he added another son, and he didn't like our price, so he went to the bus. But he believes in paying the whole thing up front. Surcharge, we actually do have a surcharge in place. It goes up around, I thought it was $3.90 something a gallon. It will kick in. It's $1.50 a week. Is there anything else?
No, there's lots of information. I really appreciate all the advice. It was awesome.
The vans, why we use a 12-passenger van is the 15-passenger cannot be used for child care or churches any longer. It's unstable. It has a tendency of rolling. The 12-passenger doesn't.
Ours is 12. Actually, we rent the 15 from Caps at $1,000 for 5 days. Man, they're expensive.
Yes.
That's why I bought.
Wow.
And that's another reason why we want, because if a van goes down, we actually have extended warranties on these vans, so that when we have a mechanic in Keller, that if one of our vans has something go wrong with it, it's brought in, put on the front of the line, and it's out by 1 o'clock in that afternoon. We work hard with them. They work hard with us. We've actually went to Caps and tried to rent vans. Thought we would rent a van if a van went down.
Yeah. It's priceless.
So we're actually looking for someone like a buyer that we could go with to auctions and possibly buy it at a cheaper price than, say,
$9,000 free, either one.
Yeah.
Well, there are brokers that will do that. They'll actually go in there and buy them for $500 for you.
Let's see, that's the information we need. We like to have those contacts. How do we do that?
That would be nice.
Yes, because
Contact David about that. He had a big interest in doing that business and researched it a lot. The broker business.
Very good.
yeah, that's the big expense is those vans. Why you're asking why we're at the same amount is because we bought minivans and we traded those minivans in, and when we did, we had to get the bigger vans, which were $20,000 to $25,000. So.
Let's give a big hand to Smiley Transportation.
If you have a product or service you would like to present to the boardroom for advice and perhaps an investment, visit www.boardroomlessons.com.